Better get a move on.
Hey there, this is Joey Swanger coming at you with another marvelous video. Jason Voorhees is an iconic character who has undoubtedly taken the crown for being one of the most terrifying slasher villains of all time. His unique psychology and scary demeanor make him everyone's worst nightmare, and he even has some alternate versions that have their unique characteristics. One such version is Jason X, who appeared in the 10th installment of this franchise in 2001. Jason X was actually cryogenically frozen and then transported to space in this movie, and you can check out our video to learn more about the anatomical details of this terrifying version of Jason.
You guys might want to run.
What does Jason X look like? At the beginning of the movie, Jason appears in his usual form, wearing a mask to cover his face and having the same appearance as the rest of the Friday the 13th films. Kane Hodder continued to play Jason's role even in this movie, wherein Jason was cryogenically frozen and left on Earth for hundreds of years, before people from a newer Earth 2 came to this Earth and discovered his body. They took him in their spaceship to Earth 2, but Jason X soon returned to life and went on a rampage on a spacecraft. He even got caught in an explosion wherein he lost many of his body parts, then returned to life as a cyborg by using technology from the future. This cyborg version of Jason X is popularly known as Uber Jason by fans as well as the design team of the movie.
We'll stand by as long as we can.
How did Jason X end up in space? In 2008, Jason Voorhees was captured by the US government, and a government scientist named Rowan made several attempts to kill him. After all these attempts failed, they decided to place him in cryogenic suspension and freeze his body. They even wanted to research his body, but Jason managed to free himself from their clutches and went on a killing spree in the facility. Finally, Rowan managed to lure Jason into a room with cryogenic pods, and both of them ended up getting frozen when Jason ruptured the pod with his machete and spilled the cryogenic fluid on both of them. As the story skips to the year 2445, we learn that Earth has run out of resources, and that humans have moved to a new planet called Earth 2. A few college students arrive on Earth for a field trip with Professor Lowe, and they end up at the government facility where Jason and Rowan's frozen bodies still exist. They decide to bring them both on their spacecraft and return to Earth 2, and Professor Lowe decides to revive Rowan while leaving Jason in the morgue. They even declare that he is dead, and Lowe then orders his assistant, Adrian, to dissect his body. However, Jason then somehow unfreezes and returns to life and even sneaks upon Adrian and takes her life by dumping her head into a sink filled with liquid nitrogen. Jason was on a spaceship to travel to Earth 2, but he still appeared to be more concerned about killing people, and he immediately started looking for his machete as well. Elaborating on the physical structure of Jason X. For the first part of the movie, Jason X stumbled into a cryogenic container and was then frozen from 2010 to 2445 when a bunch of college kids discovered his body. For this entire period, Jason X's body remained in the same shape and form in which he was frozen. After returning to life, Jason X managed to get himself into a life-threatening situation again. However, he survived this attack after the advanced machines on the spaceship revived his body as a super cyborg. In this form, Jason's body parts were replaced by metallic armor, and he even had a new metal mask that came with his new suit. In this upgraded version of his suit, Jason X did not even have a face under his mask. It was stated that Uber Jason only had contacts that matched his eye colors, and half of his body was essentially a suit of armor that was fitted onto his surviving body. Can Jason X reproduce? Jason Voorhees was typically known for his aversion toward any form of intimate relations, and it was even speculated that he had a fear of interacting with women. He even sought out couples and attacked them, and he did not show any particular interest in a woman or try to have relations with any. Jason X is also a version of this character, which means he also has intimacy issues. Moreover, Jason X was essentially a cyborg and did not seem to have any human emotions. He was an undead entity on a mission to cause harm to others, and it does not seem likely that he engaged in any form of sexual relations. It is unlikely that he can even reproduce in his new cyborg body, and Jason X is clearly not mentally stable enough to think about having kids in the first place. Is Jason X immortal? While most of the movies in this franchise depicted that Jason cannot be killed, the Jason X film showed that he is immortal, since he can always regenerate and come back to life. Jason was killed twice in this movie, but he managed to come back to life in both instances. In 2008, Jason was captured by the US government, and a government scientist tried to place him in cryogenic suspension. While they could not figure out how to kill him, Jason managed to rupture one of the cryogenic pods and spilled cryogenic fluid that froze him and the scientist named Rowan. A few hundred years later, after the population of Earth moves to a different planet called Earth-2, a bunch of students come to Earth along with Professor Lowe and discover Jason and Rowan's frozen bodies. They take the two of them back to their ship, and Professor Lowe then asks his intern, Adrian, to dissect Jason's body, while two students sneak out and get intimate with one another. Meanwhile, Jason returns to life in quite a surprising turn of events after unfreezing on his own and then attacks Adrian. After getting rid of her, the newly reanimated Jason goes after the two students, Stoney and Kinsa, who had sneaked out, and then returns to his usual mission of attacking couples. He impales Stoney with a machete-shaped tool and then goes after the other people on the ship. After wrecking the ship to an unrepairable extent, Jason X ended up dancing Sergeant Brodsky and Suneron, and he was once again killed at the end of the scene. In this explosion, Jason lost some of his head, as well as his right arm, left leg, and even a section of his ribcage. While the survivors of the ship sent out a distress call, they assumed that Jason X was finally dead and that they had eliminated this threat. However, it turns out that Jason has once again managed to return to life at the medical station. While his biological body suffered damage, he was rebuilt into a cyborg after coming back to life. No matter how many times Jason X is fatally attacked, he has always managed to return to life, which indicates that he just may be immortal. Towards the movie's end, Jason X was thrown into the atmosphere of Earth-2 by Brodsky, and it was speculated that he had died again. However, Jason has always returned to life at the start of a new movie by figuring out some way to revive himself, and he seems invulnerable. Conclusion. To sum it up, Jason X was quite an extraordinary version of Jason Voorhees and was undoubtedly a refreshing change in the franchise. His unique persona and cyborg-like appearance made him stand out quite a bit, and he had an exciting presence in the film. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.